with me our usual guest, Dr. Chikuma, a senior lecturer at the University for Development Studies and School of Allied Health, Public Health. Yes, School of Public Health. Thanks for the correction. Please, you are welcome.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So for today's segment of special social policy, we talk about issues that affects our society and then our livelihood as people. And as you know, usually with Doctor, he gave us insightful and impactful information regarding how we can protect ourselves as human beings regarding our lives. So wherever you are, draw closer as we'll have this insightful conversation. And Doc, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. And it's good to be here again.
Thank you, Doc. So we'll be looking at environmental health regulation policies and law. And Doc, what is environmental health policy and why is it important?
So, thank you very much once again. Environmental health policies, regulations, or laws are usually steps taken to protect our environment and then protect human health and then well-being. There are activities and decisions that are taken with actions that are geared towards protecting the environment and protecting human lives. So that's basically what environmental health laws and
Okay. So my follow-up question will have to do with how does environmental health differ from the general public health?
So general public health usually looks at population health and then how we can protect the general population from pathogens and other factors that can affect their health. But environmental health looks at environmental factors. There are various factors of the environment that can alter human health. So we focus on those environmental factors and preventing them from leading to dangerous effects on our health as human beings and our environment. Then we are doing environmental health.
Okay. So we have policies and we have laws regarding environmental health. So why do we need environmental health law?
So generally laws are put in place to actually guard the population. So as we said, environmental health looks at mitigating factors of the environment that can be deleterious to health. So putting environmental health laws, they are meant to enforce those actions that we put in place in order to prevent factors of the environment from leading to deleterious effects on human health. So laws are needed and they are supposed to be enforced because human beings, I can say that human beings are grouped into three. When we pass laws or when we put in place regulations, the way human beings behave towards those laws are in three ways. The first group are those who will obey these laws without asking questions. The second group, they will not obey the laws. They are created and they are meant to disobey rules. Then the third group will sit on the fence. Their mind is that they are waiting to see what will happen to those who will disobey the laws. If nothing happens to them, they will join them. If they also disobey the laws and they are punished, they will join those who are obeying. So at any point in time, if you are not enforcing laws, majority will disobey the laws. Because the middle guys will join the disobedient ones and they will become majority. And so whatever objectives that we set when we are setting up laws will be defeated if that happens. That's why there should be laws and there should be enforcement of the laws in order to protect the environment and lives.
Okay. So if I get you right, the laws are there to protect the environment. And once the laws protect the environment, there are beneficiaries of these laws or the environment. So, and it also protects, let's say, the future generation. What could actually be the gap? Because if I should know this protects me in terms of my environment, and on the other side, I am deviant to the law that's actually taking care of my environmental needs, and perhaps its implication could impact future generations. What could be the gap?
So the first gap could be lack of awareness or limited awareness. There are a lot of people in town who don't even know that there are environmental laws. There are people who don't even know that in your own house there is a law that says you should keep your house clean. A lot of people who are even elites don't know this. So mostly lack of education or lack of awareness is the first thing. And the second thing is lack of enforcement or weak enforcement. As I said, there will always be deviance in society. Based on our temperaments and how we've been created, we cannot all follow the rules. There will be deviance. So enforcement will bring those people online. But if we are not enforcing these laws due to some other challenges, then it will continue to persist and people will not obey the laws.
Okay. Doctor, I have a follow-up question. From where we are within the non-Union Tamale, and Tamale is one of the fastest urbanizing cities in Ghana. What are the common environmental laws, deviance, or activities that we do that breach these laws that perhaps stakeholders ought to take notice and then put in measures to address?
So the first environmental issues that we have is sanitation. A lot of people don't take sanitation serious. And I've ever mentioned that even in terms of excreta management, our mothers and our local people believe that a child's feces is less harmful compared to an adult's feces. That is ignorance to the highest degree. So sanitation is the first challenge. Then waste management. A lot of us don't manage our waste properly, and we are even yet to understand what waste management is about. In our homes, how do we manage the waste we generate? In our compounds, how do we manage our waste? Behind our houses, in our vicinity, how do we manage our waste? A lot of rural folks especially still throw their refuse in front of their house. There's a few people who would throw their refuse behind their house. Most of us throw it in front.
So, is there any difference in throwing it behind the house or in front of the house?
The only positive aspect of throwing your refuse behind your house is that it doesn't become unsightly. The untested view of your house will remain. But it's still the same thing. Whether you are throwing it behind your house or in front of your house, it's a no-no. But if you throw it in front of the house, you are creating two problems. The nuisance of the refuse and its accompanying challenges, and also the attested view of your house. When people are coming to your house and the first thing they eat is refuse, it says a lot about you. So we should be able to manage our waste such that waste is defined as, in public, we define waste as anything that is undesirable in a dwelling place. So if you have this and it becomes undesirable, you want to take it far away. That's why when even our own colleagues, our relatives die in environmental health, they tend to waste. We don't put them in our house. We don't put them under our beds. We take them far away and we hide them. It tells you that every waste should be hidden. And so that's how waste should be managed, so that it doesn't come back to interact with the environment and human beings to lead to the deleterious effects that I talked about earlier.
Okay. So, Doc, in coming back to the question I wanted to ask, so what happens when we ignore environmental?
If we ignore environmental health laws, then we are creating chaos. Because as I indicated, the laws are meant to ensure that we are doing the right things to protect our health. So if you disobey the laws or if you ignore the laws, then we are promoting the wrong thing. For instance, waste management. If you disobey waste management regulations, it means that you are going to manage waste poorly. And poor waste management will lead to outbreak of diseases. It will cause nuisance. In fact, there could even be a pandemic. So, if you ignore the environmental health laws, what you are doing is that you are promoting diseases, you are promoting nuisances, and you are promoting chaos.
I think is that why we often have cholera issue whenever there is.
I've been asking this question myself. Over the years, almost every year in some parts of Ghana, there will be flooding, and at the same time, there will be cholera. It's just for us to link the two. If you don't manage waste properly and there's flooding, it will carry all the pathogens, all the disease-causing agents back to us. And so the end of it will be diseases.
So, Doc, like Ghana as a country, what is our environmental sanitation profile like?
So, data and research shows that we are doing very poorly in terms of sanitation. Then we are doing just about 16 to 18% of sanitation in Ghana. Usually in the water sector, we measure
how we have the soup lines.
That is the issue. The soup line is not able to cover every part of Ghana. They have their limitations. For instance, their vehicles have their limits as to how far they can go into our communities to take refuse because of poor road infrastructure, among other things. And also their own logistical challenges. So there are a lot of issues. And that's why waste management should not just be left to the private sector. Government should have a hand in it. Just as government sees health as something government should have importance or prior plans in. Government should take environmental health that way. But to leave waste management solely in the hands of private people, it doesn't help. It doesn't help. Because the private man is also looking at profits. And so there are things that they will not be willing to do. So despite Zoom Lion and other private agencies, this issue still persists. It tells us that we should do more, government should do more in our environmental sanitation drive if we really want to achieve more, like Rwanda and other countries.
Okay. So, Doc, from your submission, should it be considered a shared responsibility?
Yes. Sanitation is a shared responsibility because much of it has to do with people's behavior. So usually we say that for environmental health and sanitation, we need a BCC approach, that's behavioral change communication approach. Because no matter what government does, if the people are not willing to change their attitudes, nothing will be achieved.
I think I can cite one common example where the government will put a lecturing project in a community and they ignore it and go and be doing open defecation.
Yes, when I was doing my masters and I was collecting data in a district, I went to a community and the environmental officers told me that World Vision and NGO went in and even built latrines for the community members. Household latrines, so not just for community latrines, household latrines. They went back to evaluate and the people rather use the facilities as storage facilities. They went in and the toilet was packed with bags of maize.
Yeah.
So it tells you that the handouts or the project itself may not change unless it's coupled with behavior change. The people should be willing to change, then you can bring the initiative.
So looking at this, who is at fault? Who is not working? What are we not doing right?
You see, the first thing we are not doing right is the first issue has to do with education. A lot of our people are not educated, and so information processing becomes a problem. And it's very difficult for people to appreciate the fact that if you do this about your environment, this will be the outcome. A lot of people don't still understand that. And even those who are elites also have challenges because of our system. The environmental health and sanitation system. Because of lack of logistics and resources, they are not also doing well in terms of the communication or awareness aspect. But they are supposed to be talking about their work. Let people understand. For instance, if not because I'm an environmental health practitioner, I wouldn't have known about any of the laws of the environment that is supposed to protect them. Whether it is food, sale of food, or even cleanliness of your environment. Somebody will say that this is my house, I bought the land. So if I want weeds around it, that's my house. It shouldn't be anybody's problem. But there's a law that says that you can't leave your house bushy. You are supposed to clean it. Because just as we talk about health, it is a public good. You can't say you want to rear mosquitoes in your house because they are your pets, you like them. If they don't bite you, they may bite other people in that community. And so health is a public good and it should be everybody's priority to protect the environment. So part of the challenges is the awareness, education, and also challenges of the implementing agents, which is the environmental health and sanitation unit. They are not also doing very well in terms of educating the public about their work, the various things the public should understand, and all that. Yet, for instance, all of us know that you cannot ride a motor with a helmet. Everybody in Ghana knows that. It's because we've been made to be aware of that. But how many of us know that even to slaughter an animal for sale, you have to take it to the abattoir?
So I can't.
So that you respect.
I have sheep in my house, so I decided that I want to give my family teeth. I'm picking one to kill. I can't just get up and slaughter. There are processes I have to.
There are processes, especially if it's going to be fed to the public.
Or let's assume most people, let me think like the other person would do. I look at the animal, I give it food this morning, it was healthy, making noise around. I felt like it's healthy. Why do I have to go to the abattoir? Is there a reason why the law requires that I go to the abattoir for certain inspections to be done before killing the animal?
Yes, because just as human beings, we have various forms of diseases. Some diseases are asymptomatic. They won't even show any signs and symptoms. Just as we have them in human beings. It's like that for animals too. So you may have an animal standing there looking at it, but the animal is sick. 2 years ago, I bought a cow for salad. They brought it from Sapopa. The animal was healthy everything was fine. On the day of the Salah, we came from prayers and the butcher came and slaughtered the animal. Once the butcher started cutting the meat, he discovered that if we had left the animal for 2 more days, the animal would have died. But there were no signs and symptoms showing in the animal. So it's that same way. When you take it to the proper place, first they do an antemortem inspection. Before slaughter inspection, the animal may look healthy. Then they do post-mortem after slaughter. Some diseases will show after the animal has died. Some you will see before when the animal is alive, but some will only show after the animal has died.
So, Doc, when you look at this, you realize that as a country we have laws. So, for instance, we have the Public Health Act of 851, and also we have the Local Government Act. So, in the presence of all this act, what are we missing? What are the rules that this act as law are supposed to bridge the gap for us in terms of our environmental health? And why are we still facing challenges despite having these good laws?
So I would say that there's one thing having laws, and there's another thing implementing or enforcing them. For instance, Public Health Act 851, it consolidates all environmental and public health regulations, and the aim is to protect the public from any acts or any actions, whether it's from the environment, from the system, that can cause harm to human health. That's what the act is. So the meat hygiene and safety is part of that act. The nuisances from the environment is part of that act. Waste management is part of that act. So if we were implementing all the aspects of the act, then we should all be fine. We should not be complaining about the fact that we are still where we are. The Local Government Act also, that act,
The Local Government Act,
651 or so.
yes.
It also empowers our local assemblies to be able to enforce the laws, the environmental laws, especially the bylaws that the assemblies themselves set. For instance, the law gives them authority to visit your premises unannounced, without a warrant. An environmental health officer or any officer assigned by the assembly can enter your premises from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. They don't need a warrant to enter your premises. Yes, they can enter and inspect the places that have been designated for that.
So, Doc, in the presence of these laws, we have a lot of, let's say, food vendors spread around. We have other businesses people are doing. Either is generating waste at the wrong spot. And we also have people rearing animals where, like, perhaps it's a neighborhood, not earmarked for that particular activity, but you see people doing it. Like, wouldn't this be like the stakeholder is actually failing the mandate to enforce this laws?
Yes.
Why do we still allow all this happening?
As I've said, it also boils down to some challenges that the agencies are facing. For instance, we have the abattoir and slaughter slab management. It's supposed to be regulated by the assembly. So internally we have an abattoir. Then they also designated some slaughter slabs in certain areas. The one is at Bella, Bani, there's one at Bani. But there are some unapproved slaughter slabs For instance, there's one around Nyanshewu. They call it what? They usually burn use those ties to sink the animal skin. That's an illegal thing for work like that to be done. But there are a lot of challenges the enforcement agency, the assembly, the environmental unit also faces in trying to implement.
I think even I spot one around Beijing.
Yes.
On the traffic going to the
Yes. So those are all illegal.
While you are passing there is this pungent smell. That is
Those are all illegal places that people have decided to use.
And we have laws. Why are we not enforcing those laws?
There are a lot of challenges. For instance, lack of logistics, lack of resources. The other challenge is political interference.
But the politicians make the laws.
That is the thing. And they are the first people to support breakers of the law. For instance, if a nuisance is spotted in a house and the environmental officer goes in, the first thing they do is to talk to them and to ask them to abate the nuisance. Usually they would issue a notice, and the notice will tell you that we have found this which is not supposed to be in your house. So please, we're giving you this number of days or this number of hours to clear the nuisance so that you'll be safe and other neighbors will be safe. After the period, if the person refuses to obey the nuisance, then they can arrest. They have the authority by law to arrest them, the person. It is the same politicians who would ask that officer should not take the case up. And I've seen a lot of my students, environmental health officers, being transferred for no reason, just because he insisted on doing the right thing, and the coordinating director said, it's either you withdraw the case from the court or you are transferred out of my district.
Do they have such power? Who gave them the power?
But the coordinating director is the administrator of the district, so he can move people whichever way he wants. So, but morally, they should have rather been supporting this officer to do the right thing. But who knows? The guy may be a party chairman, or party chairman's brother, or something. And that's the more reason why the laws are not
Could
good.
it also be perhaps professionals are not being professional enough? Because in my case, if I know I am professionally doing what I am stipulated by the role of my work and the mandate given to me, I will think I will have it difficult to deal with the district coordinator if I know I'm doing the right thing. So if the district coordinator could actually go this length with an officer, could it be the professional lapses on the part of officers in terms of how they exercise their mandate?
Yes, it could be. Sometimes it's lack of capacity. The officer himself may not have the capacity to want to insist on doing the right thing. It could be lack of capacity. It could also be other factors. For instance, sometimes it gets deadly. Committee members will threaten the officer, if you don't do this, we will do this to you. So it's not a matter of life and death.
Okay. So the district coordinator as the administrator of the district is aware of bylaws, and bylaws are important. So if the district level where bylaws was used, why are we facing all these challenges?
It's because we are quick to create